Hello everyone, happy Christmas and a Merry New Year to you all. Welcome back to another edition of Rich T Racing, where we are ending 2021 by looking back at 2021. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Basically, I'm ending this year with 3 videos. This one is just a look at the season that's gone. So as the title suggests, it's a season review of 2021. And then there's going to be 2 more videos, both coming out exactly the same time tomorrow, where I'm going to be looking at my top 5 best moments of the year and, of course, top 5 worst moments of the year. So that's the plan, that's what we're doing. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it and look back on 2021, the 2021 Club 100 season, which, as you can tell, was quite successful. I went home with a podium trophy at every single round. Sometimes I'd come home with 2, depending on how it fell in terms of endurances and SBC, or how it fell in terms of who got the trophy in the endurance team. So yeah, a quite frankly astonishing year, and one that I am very happy with, and one that I want to look back on. Now, it might sound really daft to be saying this, but we really have to start by looking a bit in depth at the start of this year, because the first round at Clay Pigeon was a massive round for both the endurances and the SP60. With the endurances, myself, Tom and Jasper, between us, we only me and Tom had experience of a Club 100 endurance round. That was when me and Tom and Derek went to Buckmore Park last year for the one and only round of that year. And we came away with a 3rd place trophy, just about getting it after a couple of black flags and a few incidents along the way. So we really didn't know where we were going to be. So that's why we entered ourselves again into the intermediate class. Yeah, we were just looking to see what would happen. Like, we were hoping we could challenge for the championship, but knowing that there might be some teams in there that are actually quite good. As it turned out, we smashed it. We absolutely smashed it out of the park. Not only did we won the Inters class by, I think, about half a lap. We also won, we would have won the Clubman class as well, which was just, we were all like, I remember being in the race thinking like, hang about, what's going on here? When's this going to go wrong? When's it all of a sudden going to blow up in our face? And it didn't. We were consistent, we were fast, and we got some really good overtakes. And I think we all 3 of us said that at some point in that race, we all found the mythical Zen period, where the one that Ayrton Senna spoke about in Monaco '88, when he ultimately then crashed out. We became one with the machine, which was just phenomenal. I know that might sound a bit pretentious, but that is what happened. And like, my pace on that day, I was a track I don't know very well, bombing along, overtaking my mate Adam, who is a very fast driver. It was just incredible. It was incredible. It was such a good way to do it. And we came out of that thinking, if this happens again at Wilton, then we should probably move up to the Clubmans. As it turned out, that didn't happen. Wilton was actually a bit of a shocker for us. We still came second, but our pit stops didn't go smoothly, and our pace wasn't that good. I think Jasper had a few spins as well, so that was a little bit disheartening. And then Lid, the qualifying didn't go well, and whilst we fought back well through the race, we still then lost out to Brilio again. So by the time we hit Buckmore, we had 1 victory, Brilio had 2, so Brilio were being tipped as like they're probably going to win it. So we were a bit on the back foot. So that was sort of the start of the year. So Clay was still massive in sort of giving us that confidence that it's like, you know what, we can win it this year. We can win this. We just have to make sure we're on it. On the flip side, SP60 at Clay was a bit different. Now, if you watched my pre-season prediction video, you'd know that I'd made some bold calls and bold claims in that video. So I'd come into Clay sort of in the need to put my money where my mouth was. And I ruffled a few feathers. I know that for a fact. I don't regret anything that I said in that video, because it was based on the information I had. So I'm not going to apologise for what I said in that video, but I definitely had to put my money where my mouth was going into Clay for the SP60. And going in qualifying, I thought, you know what, we're just behind. We were I think I qualified 13th. Alex Pritchard, who'd won the SP60 SHW the year before, was 11th, and Dickie Allen, who'd come second, and I had a good old ding dong with at Wilton the year before, he was just in front of me. So I thought, right, I'm with them. Hopefully, let's have a good old race. Let's move through the field together, and let's hopefully I'll finish in front of them. That didn't happen. If anything, I went backwards. I finished 14th in that first race, and Dickie and Alex finished like 5th and 6th, I think. So I was a bit like, okay, I might have got that a bit wrong. And I'll admit when I'm wrong. I got it wrong. My predictions were wrong. But it was the second race where things really sort of made me think like, I've definitely miscalculated a bit here. This is not going to be a walk in the park, because the start didn't go well, and then on the very first lap, I got my first proper taste of what was to come for certainly the first half of the season with Mr. Rich Newton, who I had completely forgotten about in my pre-season prediction video, because obviously he won the one SB60 race I did in 2020 when I hit a stationary cart. So yeah, but me and Richard, oh my god, this fight we had at Clay, it's probably the best one of the year. We would literally I'd get past him and then he'd just immediately get past me. I was just like, leave me alone, go away. I didn't like it. I didn't like having to fight. But I got past him eventually. But then I also took someone out and got 7 places worth of penalties in one foul swoop. 6 places for the taking out, and also killed a cone on my way through, so that was quite funny. Getting the cone penalty as well, that was funny. And then at the very last lap, getting taken out by Philip Goodis, but I could have just, left it be, and I might have come home to take second place that day. But in the end, which one was it? I took a 3rd place home, which was disappointing, and it made me realise, like, you know what, I can't just dick about here. I can't just say like, oh no, it'll be fine, like I'll just do I'll win it, fine, it'll be easy. No, it's like, no, there's a challenge here. So I had to sort of think things through going into Wilton, and then the low point of the season, Wilton Mill, I would say, for the SP60 race 2, where I took Richard out on the very first lap because he'd come round the outside of me at Inkerman's and I was on the inside. I didn't really give him the space he was owed. I was a bit robust, and then to hit 2 cones and ultimately lose out on my first victory of the year, thanks to fastest lap, because Richard had recovered brilliantly to finish. Ultimately, he finished close enough to me to benefit from my penalties, and then he set a faster lap than me, so we were completely even, and then he took the victory. So those first 2 rounds were major for me. For the SP60, I was so down, waiting in the car for the ceremony whilst the lightweights were going around, because I knew that I'd lost it. I knew that I was only going to come second at Wilton Mill again, which was just not a nice feeling. So going into Lyd, I was like, right, what's going wrong here? Like, come on. We were meant to be winning this championship, and then qualifying at Lyd to Richard was up in 9th, and I was down in like 21st. It was like, okay, right, we're just going to have to accept that we're going to lose again here. And then along came a lifeline, and along came, I think, possibly the biggest turning point of the year, when Richard got a mechanical flag. His fuel cap wasn't done up. I think he said that a lightweight must have undone it and realised, oh wait, they're not refilling, so he then just put it back on the cart and didn't do it up, and Richard didn't check that. So he got a mechanical flag for it, and that was such a lifeline, because I just knew, it's like, right, second place is the best we can hope for here, because I was just too far away from him. And we actually had a really good race at Lyd, first one, took the victory. We were quite far ahead of Jamie Garside, who moved into the heavyweights later on in the year. But yeah, we were about 6th place in front. I thought, right, we've got a very good chance to win here. Let's just nothing go wrong. Let's just have a nice, calm second race. And obviously, lap 1, I got basically, as coming into the right, left, right before the back straight. I got punted up the rear, felt it going. I thought, there's no way I'm going to make this. So unless I turn in and try and get it through that gap in the tyres and just keep it going through a lot across the grass. And somehow did it. Like I launched Rich T lawn mowing, which was quite funny. But I did lose a lot of positions, lost out to Richard in through that, and I was just like, oh bugger, I'm in a bit of trouble here. But I recovered brilliantly. I could see Jamie Garside, like he was close enough. There were enough carts between me and him to be like, no, we're safe. Let's just keep here for the moment. Let's try and get him as well. But he was driving away from us, so it was like, that's not going to happen. And then he spun, and then me and Richard had another great duel. He won out on that one. Like I never got definitively past him, so it was that was another great duel. And then I took the first victory of the year. It was that one, and that was such a weight off my shoulders to actually get a victory in the SP60. Only my second victory in Club 100 racing. I've got the trophy for my first one. There's that. Look at that. That's LO Park 2017. In fact, you know what? Because I'm working from home at the minute, and this normally sits on my desk at work, you can go right there, my friend. There you go. Be with your buddies. So yeah, getting the first win was a massive weight off my shoulders. I also took the championship lead after Lid, and after that, didn't really look backwards. I mean, we then went into Buckmore, and annoyingly Dickie was there, so I only was able to pick up... Where is it? Third? Oh, I've lost it. Oh no, here it is. I was ultimately able to pick up the second place for Buckmore when I put it, like, race 1 at Buckmore for the SP60. This kart, oh my god, it was possibly the most down on power kart I'd ever had. I was just being passed down straight, left, right and centre, defending against people that normally I would never be defending against. That was soul destroying. But then putting in a banging performance for race 2, actually winning the SHW in race 2. I finished in front of Dickie, which I think is the only time this year that happened. So that was great. That was a really good thing to come across. And then we won the endurance in the morning, with just a very consistent performance from the boys, which is, I think, what made the Three Swans such a good team. We were just all so consistent. Our pace was only a couple attempts within each other, and we made hardly any mistakes throughout the year. The main thing that went wrong for us throughout the year was outside of our control at Rye, where our kart broke down. Just as Tom was coming into the pits, the kart bloody broke down. And looking at what happened at the end of the race, we would have probably won, because Brilio were doing a one-man stint, and his pace had fallen off the bubble, and we were in front of the team. I think it was my team Jaws, who ultimately won that round. So we would have probably won the race, which was really annoying, but there we go. Rye for the SP60 was a fantastic, fantastic day. It was the day before the Eurofarm, so everyone was a bit giddy. And Rye is not a track that I get on with very well. And I'd qualified down in like 23rd or something, or 24th. It was very far down. But then my first race at Rye was unbelievable. The pace I had was fantastic, probably the best of the year. And then took the victory, but it should have been so much more. I should have put a good breathing space between me and Richard heading into the mid-season break for me, because I wasn't at Elo for the SP60. But I ultimately got taken out twice. Once by, I think, Stephen Jennings, and on lap 1, and the second time by Darryl Snelling, in a stupid move from him. There's no other way to say it. So yeah, we still took the victory, but again, a theme was being developed that even though I'd won, it was an unsatisfactory win because my second race hadn't gone well, a bit like Lid. And actually Lid was, again, it's like it was something outside of my control that helped me win the race. Had that not happened, I would have probably not won. So it was just a bit of unsatisfactoriness coming in once we hit that sort of halfway point of the season for me in the SP60. Because again, wasn't at Elo for the SP60, but was for the endurance. And one of the most unsatisfactory moments of the year, one of the most unsatisfactory days of the year, which I will talk about in one of the videos coming out tomorrow, and I'm sure you can guess which one. But ultimately, we still only took second place after a brilliant opening stint from Jasper. What went wrong was that I insisted that I should film the entire race, which meant that when me and Jasper switched over, then we'd have to do a battery reset on the GoPro or change batteries over, and that just went horribly wrong. We lost about 14 seconds, and then we lost 9 seconds at a later pit stop when the fuel cap wouldn't go on, and lost out on the victory. And it was just like, it was something completely in my control that cost us the victory. And taking home another second place, it is this one here. Yeah, that was depressing. And then I had to drive home from basically Norwich to Sevenoaks, which wasn't nice, to be honest. So yeah, that was one of the, again, low point of the year. But coming into the second half of the year, I knew it's like, right, I need to try and put some distance now between me and Richard. I need to establish myself as dominant in this championship. I had a like 11-point lead at the top, maybe 9 points, because I'd still finished behind Richard. Like, I think we were tit for tat on every single round. Like, I'd finished in front in one, he'd finished in front in the other, then like back and forth. So I was like, I need to have a round where I finish in front of Richard on both occasions. And then along came Bayford Meadows, and this was I would say possibly it was the most successful day of the year, because we took the victory in the endurance and the SB60. Tom put in this unbelievable qualifying performance, qualifies 5th on the grid for the endurances, and despite a dodgy opening lap from myself, we ultimately still finished 5th. Like, unbelievable performance that was. Like, literally I have no other word to say but other than unbelievable, because to finish 5th as an intermediate team is just that just doesn't happen very often. I don't think, like, or I don't know, but I'm fairly certain no other intermediate team finished higher than 5th throughout the year. A sensational performance that really sort of showed that next year, when we're in the clubman class, we can perform, we can compete, and that showed it really. And then the SP60, yes, I took the victory, but once again, unsatisfactory end. I picked up 8 places worth of penalties at the on the final couple of laps. An incident with both of them, I think, with Stephen Jennings. One of them was fair enough. The other one, I'm a bit sort of about. I had my most angriest reaction from someone when after the race. I was accused of trying to kill Stephen, which is interesting, but there we go. So yeah, again, 3 unsatisfactory victories, but 3 victories nonetheless. And we did take a double victory. We beat Richard in both races at Bayford. Had another brilliant battle with him in race number 1 at Bayford. But I think I had about half a second per lap on him, and he was just not letting me go. And eventually, it was he did this move that he got a penalty for, and even he said afterwards, like, yeah, even at that point, I was like, we need to stop this now. But yeah, so it was like, right, I know I can have him. I know that it is on the cards, I can have him here. So going into Llandau, home turf for when I was at uni, I was like, right, what can we do here? Well, what we actually did was put in our worst performance of the endurances, which was like brilliant. Mostly my fault, because I kept hitting cones. I thought that I'd been given a penalty for running wide when I'd been forced wide by Andrew Mather. I thought Jacob Harris had given me a penalty for that, so my head went. And it turned out it was just hitting cones. So I was depressed after my stint. Tom got a black flag as well. Jesus. My window just farted. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Jasper wasn't on it. He was very hungover from the day before, so it was it was our worst performance of the year. And we only finished I think we took 70 points. We were like 7th overall. But the funny thing is, if we had picked up just 1 less black flag, we'd have still been up there, which is really just interesting. But then coming into the SPC, so I was again not in a good place. This, that, and the other. It's like, oh god, right, let's see what happens here. And I put in the best qualifying lap of my life. I qualified 5th. I had Tim Clark and Anwar Beryl Smith in front of me on my side, and then to my left I had Mike Coppin and Dan Brewer, and then alongside me was Chris Alcock. It's like, what am I doing up here with this slot? I had a nosebleed. It was ridiculous. I finished in front of Dickie as well, out-qualified Dickie. I was like, rah, what's going on here? Ultimately, it didn't turn into a victory. I gave it my all, but it just wasn't quite enough. Had a good fight with Alex Pritchard, best fight of the year. Tried a last lap move on him, and it nearly worked, but it was a banzai move, and it was like, oh, I'm not sure how well I can do here. And he got me into the final corner, and it was like, yeah, completely fair fight. I had a cone penalty anyway. So yeah, I then had a little holiday in Spain. So it was like, right, we've got 3 rounds to go. Can we take 3 victories in the SB60? And what can we do to make sure that we do win it in the endurances? I think at this point we had a really decent gap when you considered counted rounds. We weren't at Wilton, the Free Swans. It was the only round we missed because Tom was in Spain as well, and Jasper had like an F-type experience day. So we missed that one. And Brilio didn't gain any ground on us at all, which was great. And if they did, they only gained like 5 points on us or something. So it was like, right, we've done quite well there. So Wilton Part 2 was an interesting SB60 for me because I stood on the scales and I was heavy. I put on a lot of weight on this holiday, and that showed in my performance because I just sort of dropped off. Like Dickie was unbelievable. Like, so my plan to get to have 6 winners' trophies up here had blown up in flame because Dickie had worked out that he had a chance to fight me for the championship. By the way, I didn't even mention Landau. I gained, like, Richard did not know the track at all, and I think I lapped him in race 1. Did I lap him in race 2 as well? I can't remember. But yeah, that, like, I took home a 9th and a 12th, and he took like two 20th places or something, or places lower than 20th place. And it's like I had like a 34-point gap at this point. I was like, right, we've got a really healthy gap now, so we just got to build on this. But yeah, Wilton didn't go to plan. I did not feel at home. I got taken out twice. One time sort of getting a bump up the rear that sort of forced me onto the grass, made me lose places. Another time was a contentious incident with me and another guy that I posted on the Club 100 chat, and it was decided ultimately that it was probably a 50-50 racing incident. But I still finished 18th, and Richard was only 4 places in front of me, so I thought, okay, if I keep this together, got a chance. And ultimately, yeah, I did. I finished 2nd place, finally beat Richard at Wilton, which was good. Gained about 4 points on him in the championship, so the gap was up to about 38 points by this point, with 2 rounds to go. So it was like, right, we're nearly there. We've nearly done it. And then Lid happened, and Lid, we should have closed off the Endurance Championship. But unfortunately, in one of the wettest days of Club 100 I've ever done, despite us, we were running up in 8th. We'd overcome Brilio, who'd had a clean start. I hadn't, but had recovered brilliantly. Tom then consolidated it, and Jasper was then just gaining on Brilio's 2nd driver, because Brilio had one driver who was brilliant and one driver who just was not on the same pace and was not on our pace, importantly. But then, unfortunately, track limits caught up with us, and Jasper ultimately got a black flag in the final 5 minutes, which meant I only went home with, where is it? That one. That runners-up trophy, which was very disappointing. But we could have won the championship then. We didn't know it at the time. But yeah, that was a hard one. It was one of them that was like, this is a moment in motorsport. You just have to, like, this is a hard one to take, and you just have to move on from this. And then I had arguably, I think, my worst performance in the SB60. I was nowhere in race 1. I influenced the lead and possibly the championship, overall championship. I had a moment in chicane 2, and Anwar went left, Mike Coppin went right. I ended up mucking up Anwar. Mike took the lead and kept it. So that was interesting. Anwar was not happy with me, which is probably fair enough, but there you go. And then, if it hadn't been for Richard having he had a thigh injury, he had to pull off. But if it hadn't been for that, I would not have had a trophy that day. I wouldn't have come home with at least 3rd that day, this one. Because Pete Gillette beat me that day, fair enough, and Dickie was just on another level because it was wet. So yeah, that was a sort of a sobering day, but I still ultimately came away with a big championship lead. It was almost done, nearly, like it was like nearly fit. Like I needed 50 points. If it was over 50 points by the end of the first race at Bayford, at the finale, then it was done. It was about 45 points in the end. Dicky had fallen away, or he hadn't fallen away, but it was mathematically impossible for him to catch me. So coming into the last round of the rate of the season, then we were looking good. Obviously, basically untouchable really for the SP60, but it was close in the endurances, and we thought that it was Bayford, based on our previous performance, we were going to smash it again. As it turned out, we got a kart that had no rear grip and was really oversteery, and we decided not to change it because we knew that we just have to do our thing and let other teams and just hope that Brilio had to win the race effectively to beat us, and we had to not be on the podium. And for a brief time, it looked like, actually, you know what, we might be in a bit of bother here. But fortunately, Yusuf's team, I haven't mentioned him so far, Yusuf bin Sahel, a chap that I've known since BUKC days, he'd put a team together and put a really good team together. And by the end of the season, they were the form team of the Inters Championship, and they had a commanding lead. And it was brilliant in the opening laps of the endurances. I mucked up Brilio's race so much. He had so much more speed on me, did their main chap. But I just ruined the start and made it so that he just had no chance to get back at the leading Inters teams, which was again Yusuf's team and Ragazzi Racing Whisper as well. So that was great. And by about halfway through, realised that we got this. And then Brilio switched drivers, and we just Tom overtook him, and it's like, right, this is done. So we just had to keep it on track, and it was all good. And we won the championship, which was fantastic achievement. And then exactly the same thing happened in the SP60. I had what I wanted for the SP60 going into it. I said to myself, I just want a nice, clean race where everything goes well and I don't end up getting like stupid penalties and takeouts, this, that, and the other. And more or less that's what happened. I did get one stupid penalty that I still am bitter about. It was a forcing wide at the very first lap, and I'm not going to bang on about it. I've banged on long enough. It's nearly a half an hour video, Jesus Christ. But yeah, ultimately still had a brilliant ending. I had my girlfriend and her family coming down to watch me. Race 2 was, I think, my favourite race of the year because for the first time this year, I was in the right place at the right time for the start of a race. I took about 5 guys into the right-hander behind the hill, which was so good, so satisfying. And then had a really good battle with some of the guys that I've been in fights with all year, heavyweight guys. Like Daryl Snelling, Garrett O'Connor, Steve Lindley, and Mr. Pritchard was within touching distance, but I didn't quite get there in the end. But it was still a brilliant race. Finished 10th, took the championship win. Just fantastic. A fantastic year, a fantastic way to round off a fantastic year and to win 2 championships. I mean, there'll be some who will say that you took part in the bottom championship and you took part in the SHW championship, that with the absolute best will in the world, the gap between like myself and between me and Richard and then everyone else was quite big. So the competition wasn't brilliant, but I still had to fight off Richard through the first half of the year. And we had a fantastic battle, so we did. And then there was the threat of Dicky in the second half of the year. So it was still a really well fought championship. And again, as well, there'll be some people that might say that the fact that Dicky won every single race he took part in and finished only a couple 30 odd points behind me, having done 2 less rounds than what could be counted, could be argued that I didn't deserve this championship as much. But to that I would just say, nah, not a chance. Because yeah, ultimately you need to do at least 8 rounds to have a chance of winning a championship. And I think even if Dicky had done 7 rounds, I think my average per round would have been enough that I think we would have been okay. But anyway, that is it. Really, I've banged on for way longer than I'd ever thought possible, but that is Rich T Racing. That is me on this channel. That's been 2021. Again, a fantastic year and one that I will not forget in a hurry. I've really got to work out where to put all these at some point, because this is not where they're meant to live. But yeah, a brilliant year, one that I'm so happy I did. Next year, I'm meant to at this point only be doing the Endurance Championship because I didn't make it into the SP60 initially, but I'm hoping to still get a couple rounds in throughout the year, and I'll bring as much of it as I can to you over the course of 2022. So that has been it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for watching this video. Thank you for watching through 2021, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications if you haven't done so already. And all I shall say for now is ta-ta and farewell.